Psalm 82 is a weird one, but weird is good. Weird does not have to be a bad thing. Michael Heiser, the author of Unseen Realm, says that weird means we should pay attention. In this psalm, we have God talking to other gods, to a divine council. And we've already explained in previous episodes why this isn't polytheism, so don't go there. But the question still remains, who are these other Elohim? Who are these other gods to whom Yahweh is speaking? We know what Elohim are, but who were these guys specifically within the race of Elohim within this divine council? How do we know they weren't just a group of humans? We're going to find out today on this episode of Veiled Kingdoms. I'm Kevin Laymon, and I'm a pastor and a Christian therapist in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I'm here with
Grant Forrester, an apologist and a pastor here in Wilmington, North Carolina.
So welcome, Grant. I understand that we're kind of continuing our series of Psalm 82 here.
Absolutely.
We did verse 1 in the previous episode, and now we're
doing verse 1 again.
Awesome.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, just stay here forever.
That's exactly right. One of the biggest critiques, because I think there's so much to drill down in here for Christians today who are going to be challenged by all kinds of professors and critics and peers and coworkers about what the Old Testament really says. What we're going to look at today is we're going to deal with one of the chief criticisms for the idea that we see in Psalm 82, the divine council.
Sure.
The chief criticism is that what this passage is talking about is judges. They are judges that Yahweh has put in place and has called them gods.
Right.
And so we are going to look at some other scriptures in the Old Testament. One of the primary ones is going to be Psalm 89, right? Just 7 Psalms later. That's using the same language, and it's even more explicit. Right. So what we want to do is, in the first episode, we showed that Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh God, is the chief creator and the author and perfecter of reality, the author and perfecter of our salvation even. And he filled his universe, he filled his reality with spiritual beings of all kinds of variety. And that's how the word Elohim is used. And today we're going to show that specifically in Psalm 82, the Elohim that Yahweh is dealing with are what we would call his divine counsel. And we'll explain more of that in the next episode too.
Yeah.
So
or at least is it, would we say divine counsel or would we say former divine counsel? Because obviously these guys screw up, right?
That's a really good one.
And we'll get to that in another episode as well.
Yeah, so I want to read through Psalm 89 here. Let's see. So we'll start in verse 6. Psalm 89, 6. It says, "For who in the sky is equal to Yahweh? Mm-hmm. Who is like Yahweh among the sons of God?" And where are these guys? In the sky.
In the sky.
Right?
In the clouds.
Who is like Yahweh among the sons of God? A God feared greatly in the council of the holy ones, and awesome above all surrounding him. O Yahweh, God of hosts, who is mighty like you, O Yah, with your faithfulness surrounding. That's about as explicit in my imagination as you could get. Sure. These beings are in the sky. They are the sons of God, which we're going to see later on too. God is feared greatly in the council of these sons of God in the sky, these holy ones, and there is no one that is like him in any of these Elohim that are surrounding.
Sure.
He stands apart.
What version was that you read from?
This is the Lexham English Bible.
Ah, yes. I know you love that version of the Bible.
I do.
I just feel like nobody else on the planet uses it. But
it's Logos'
I mean,
Bible.
I like obscure versions too. I've got the LSB here. The LSB says the heavens, instead of the sky, it says the heavens.
Ooh, I like that.
But it does translate the English, the Elohim as holy ones, which these are the ones who inhabit the heavens.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so we see this, a pairing, Psalm 82, Psalm 89, they go hand in hand. Who are these Elohim? Who are these sons of God? Who are these beings in this divine council? They are spiritual beings in the heavenly places that should greatly fear Yahweh. The next one is Judges 11:24.
Okay.
And that says, "Do you not possess what Shamash, your God, gave you to possess? Whoever Yahweh, our God, has driven out before us, we will possess it." Okay. So what's interesting here is there's a lot. Obviously, there's conquest, there's conquest language. There's all
We've got to do a whole episode on Shamash.
Yeah, right.
How do you know that's his pronunciation?
I don't know.
Okay.
Chimish. Yeah, I don't know.
I would read it Chemosh.
I don't know.
Associate him with something.
If you say anything confidently, people just kind of go with
Shamash. Let's go with Shamash.
Yeah. So do you not possess what Shamash, your God, gave to you? So an Elohim with a name that God is going to drive out, right?
Yeah,
an Elohim
the
with
patron
a name.
God of the Moabites, right?
That's exactly right.
And that kind of goes back to what I was saying in an earlier episode. It's just all of my life before this unseen realm became real for me.
Right.
I would read this God Shamash, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's like these guys are looking at the statue on their wall, and they just kind of gave it a name. But like, this thing was probably real. Like, this was probably real Elohim, a real spiritual creature that was demanding worship through the conduits of idolatry.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we'll do a whole breakdown on what idolatry really is. Idolatry is not loving your car too much.
I thought it would be fun to stop it. But I thought it would be fun too, like at some point to just do a series on where like we go through every Elohim who is named in scripture and just dig up whatever we can find about them. Like, who were they? What did they do? Anyway.
Who worshiped them? Where? How? Yeah. There's a lot about Molech too. That's a good one.
I think we would end up finding a lot of overlap because I think that they kind of
particularly for the word Baal.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the same being and he's just kind of like shifting his identity per generation or per culture or whatever. So anyway.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so the next one I want to look at is 1 Kings 11:33.
Okay.
And so this says, because he has forsaken me, and they bowed down to Ashtoreth, another name, right?
Put him on the list.
It says Ashtoreth, the god of the Sidonians. Okay. Also to Shamash, the god of Moab, and to Milcom, the god of the Ammonites. Names, right? Yeah. They did not walk in my ways to do right in my eyes, my ordinances or my judgments, as did David his father. And so this is Solomon following the desires and the idolatry of his wives, and he's worshiping these other gods. Yeah. And they're not just made up. They have names: Ashtoreth, Shamash, Milcom, right? These were real entities that Solomon was worshiping, not made up things.
Right.
So that's a problem. So what I want to build here is a case that there are beings in the heavenlies that are Elohim. They're even called Elohim here. And then the next one here is Deuteronomy 32:17. So they sacrificed to the demons. That word there is shadim, not God.
So is it not God or not gods?
So he says
because I think that the LSB says not gods.
So right after that, it does say that. So it says they sacrificed to demons and not Elohim, which would be the true Elohim.
Just curious how the LSB translates.
It says they sacrificed to the demons, not God.
Oh, who were not God.
Yep, two gods whom they had not known. And so more stuff here. So demons, shadim, and the word Elohim are also being connected. Yeah. And so there's this whole concept of they're making sacrifices to demons. They're worshiping Elohim that are not their own.
And these are real creatures.
That's exactly right. Like no Christian would look at this and go, nah, demons don't exist.
Because even if you're going to look at the names and go, well, they were just statues on a shelf.
Yeah.
You can't do that here because he's calling them demons.
That's exactly right. and if you're a Christian,
there were actual beings, actual creatures.
That's exactly right.
And these things are immaterial and they're eternal to a certain extent. And so it means that they're still out there. That's why we're going through this. That's why this means something for us.
Yeah.
Is because this whole realm wasn't just tied to the Old Testament.
Yeah, that's right.
This is still affecting our world today, though it may look a little bit different.
Yeah.
It still affects our world today.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I cut you off. I just get excited.
Right. There are people that are practicing witchcraft right now that are trying to commune with Hecate, who was Egyptian god of magic, and right. That's exactly right. It's like this stuff is. You might be listening and you might be thinking, well, I'm just a Southern Baptist and I've never thought about this stuff before. That's fine. I'm a Southern Baptist too. Yeah. I'm just having to think about these things now as an apologist, having to combat culture.
I mean, you're Southern Baptist-ish.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, but our origins are Southern Baptist.
There you go.
How about we say that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so these passages demonstrate that what is happening in Psalm 82 is not that this word Elohim is being applied to physical people.
Right.
That's just not what's going on.
No, not at all.
That's just not what's going on. You can make the argument that it's referring to demons, right? That word is connected in Deuteronomy 32:17. You could say that it's referring to foreign gods, which we saw in 1 Kings 11:33. You could say that it's referring to the Trinity, right? Even though no one thinks that. But what you just can't make sense of given the context. Yeah, right. What you just can't make sense of given the context is that these are human beings that God is just calling Elohim.
Sure.
That's just nonsense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And it's certainly not going to fit into the context of the Old Testament worldview.
Right.
These are Yahweh's divine council members. They are Elohim. They are gods, right? We can use that word, keeping in mind that the word God, the word Elohim, does not automatically mean omnipotent, omniscient. Right. There is no one like Yahweh.
Right.
No one like Yahweh.
No.
And so this is important because there's a whole other kingdom, right? Or kingdoms, domains out there made up of these spiritual beings. And we don't talk about them enough.
I mean, not even close.
That's exactly right.
In other words, I mean, we have work to do. You know, I mean, there's so much to uncover. There's so much to investigate here. And all of this ties to our world today. That's what I can't stress enough. Is we understand that God is not in this spiritual realm by himself, that there are other beings, probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of these creatures that inhabit this completely other realm that we cannot see. And those things were not limited to our Old Testament. These things are still around today. What was around then is around today. And while they may present themselves differently because they've adjusted their strategies, even to the point, we're going to make a case later, that you can see just how they've adjusted their strategy in this generation. I mean, we've gone from this materialistic culture and transitioning into this new age spirituality. And that is all the strategy of this realm that we're addressing.
Yeah.
These are real beings that we have to consider and that we have to engage with. And it doesn't mean that we go out hunting them or looking for them. In fact, Grant and I would always say, stay away. If they're not messing with you,
that's exactly right.
Don't mess with them.
If you're listening to this and you're a squatcher, don't go hunting for Bigfoot.
Right.
Bigfoot is not. Bigfoot's not a biological creature. Bigfoot is a spirit that you don't want to mess with.
We'll have to get to that one later. But
just a nugget.
Yeah. But essentially, these gods haven't disappeared. Everything that we're reading here still applies to today. And if you hang with us long enough on the show, we're eventually going to get there. We're going to show you how all of this connects, even to present world events that you see going on around you. But that's all we've got for today. If you've been with us this far and you're still hanging out, we've got to assume this has been helpful to you. If you would, please consider giving us a subscribe or a like if you would like to see more of our content. If you're new here, please hang out and check out some of our other videos that are probably popping up on the screen right now. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless.